Workplace safety has become a major concern to managers and employees alike. With incidents like what happened at Columbine High School and Virginia Tech, educational institutions are not immune to these types of incidents. Media attention has resulted in fear and apprehension, yet this is less common than is popularly believed. Prevention is critical. Incidents involving disruptions and threats are increasing, and early intervention helps prevent more serious acts. Workplace violence can be any act of physical violence, threats of physical violence, harassment, intimidation, or other threatening, disruptive behavior that occurs at the worksite. Workplace violence can affect or involve employees, students, visitors, and contractors. A number of different actions in the work environment can trigger or cause workplace violence. It may be the result of non-work-related situations, such as domestic violence or road rage. Workplace violence can be inflicted by an abusive employee, classmates, a manager, supervisor, coworker, customer, family member, or even a stranger. Whatever the cause or whoever the perpetrator, workplace violence is not to be accepted or tolerated. Violence is a substantial contributor to death and injury on the job. The National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health, or NIOSH data, indicates homicide has become the second leading cause of occupational injury death, exceeded only by motor vehicle-related deaths. Approximately 1 million people are assaulted while at work or on duty each year, representing 15% of all acts of violence experienced by U.S. residents older than 12. Workplace violence is not distributed randomly across all workplaces, but is clustered in particular occupational settings. More than half of workplace homicides occurred in retail trade and service industries. 85% of non-fatal assaults in the workplace occur in the service and retail trade. As the U.S. economy continues to shift toward the service sectors, fatal and non-fatal workplace violence will be an increasingly important occupational safety and health issue. The Workplace Violence Research Institute estimated costs of workplace violence to U.S. businesses at $36 billion per year. These costs include medical and psychiatric care, lost business and productivity, repairs and cleanup, higher insurance rates, increased security costs, and worst of all, the loss of valued employees. In addition, business owners and college administrators are being held liable for not making their locations safe for employees and visitors. Other potential litigation areas include negligent hiring, workers' compensation claims, third-party claims for damages, invasion of privacy actions, and Occupational Safety and Health Administration (OSHA) violation charges. A number of factors may increase a worker's risk for workplace assault and includes contact with the public, exchange of money, delivery of passengers, goods, or services, and having a mobile workplace such as a taxicab or police cruiser, working with unstable or volatile persons in healthcare, social service or criminal justice settings, working alone or in small numbers, guarding valuable property or possessions, working in community-based settings. Sensational acts of coworker violence form only a small part of the problem, but are often emphasized by the media to the exclusion of the daily homicides of taxicab drivers, convenience store clerks, and police officers. Most workplace homicides are not the result of disgruntled workers who take out their frustration on coworkers, supervisors, relatives, or students. Rather, they are mostly robbery-related crimes. Workplace homicide is the leading cause of death among female workers in the U.S. and is the second leading cause of death for men. Many of the non-fatal violence occurrences were robberies, while workers were locking up at night or making money drops or pickups. Nearly half of the workplace assaults were described as incidents involving hitting, kicking, or beating. There were also cases of squeezing, pinching, scratching, biting, stabbing, and shooting, as well as rapes and threats of violence. These assaults were distributed almost equally between men, 44%, and women, 56%. The three prevention strategies include environmental designs, administrative controls, and behavioral strategies. Environmental designs. Commonly implemented cash handling policies include procedures such as using locked drop safes, carrying small amounts of cash, posting signs and printing notices that limited cash is available, It also may be useful to explore feasibility of cashless transaction through the use of machines that accommodate automatic tell account cards or debit cards. These approaches could be used in any setting where cash is currently exchanged between workers and customers. Physical separation of workers from customers, clients, and the general public through the use of bullet-resistant barriers or enclosures could be useful in some locations. The height and depth of counters, with or without bullet-resistant barriers, are also important considerations in protecting workers since they introduce physical distance between employees and the public. Consideration must be given to the continued ease of conducting business. Prevention measures that increases frustration for workers or for customers or clients may be self-defeating. Visibility and lighting are also important environmental design considerations. Making high-risk areas visible to more people and installing good external lighting should decrease the risk of workplace assaults. Access to and egress from the workplace is also important areas to assess. The number of entrances and exits, the ease with which non-employees can gain access to work areas because doors are unlocked, and the number of areas where potential attackers can hide are issues that should be addressed. This issue has implications for the design of building and parking areas, landscaping, and the placement of garbage areas, outdoor refrigeration areas, and other storage facilities that workers must access. Numerous security devices are available that may reduce the risk for assaults against workers and facilitate the identification and apprehension of perpetrators. These include closed-circuit camera, alarms, two-way mirrors, card key access systems, panic bar doors locked from the outside only, and trouble lights or geographic locating devices for mobile workplaces. Work practices and staffing patterns during the opening and closing of establishments and during money drops and pickup should be carefully reviewed for the increased risk of assault they pose to workers. These practices include having workers take out garbage, dispose of grease, store food or other items in external storage areas, and transport or store money. Policies and procedures for assessing and reporting threats allow employers to track and assess threats and violent incidents in the workplace. Such policies clearly indicate a zero tolerance of workplace violence and provide mechanisms by which incidents can be reported and handled. In addition, such information allows employers to assess whether prevention strategies are appropriate and effective. The policies should also include guidance on recognizing the potential for violence and methods of diffusing or de-escalating potentially violent situations. Procedures for obtaining medical care and psychological support following violent incidents should also be addressed. Training and education efforts are clearly needed to accompany such policies. Training employees in nonviolent response and conflict resolution has been suggested to reduce the risk that volatile situations will escalate to physical violence. Also, critical is training that addresses hazards associated with specific tasks or work sites and relevant prevention strategies. Training should not be regarded as the sole prevention strategy, but as a component in a comprehensive approach to reducing workplace violence. To increase vigilance and compliance with stated violence prevention policies, training should emphasize the appropriate use and maintenance of protective equipment, adherence to administrative controls, and increased knowledge and awareness of the risk of workplace violence. The behaviors and attitudes that may be indicators of disruptive, threatening, or violent behavior are upset over recent event or events, recent major change in behavior, demeanor, appearance, recently has withdrawn from normal activities, family, friends, co-workers, intimidating, verbally abusive, harasses or mistreats others, challenges or resists authority, blames others for problems in life, work, suspicious, holds grudges, use or abuse of drugs and or alcohol, stalking, makes threatening references to other incidents of violence, makes threats to harm self, others, or property, weapons, has or is fascinated with weapons, has communicated specific proposed act or acts of disruption or violence. Good working relationships between employers, employees, and customers must be established. Teamwork and a harmonious working atmosphere help to reduce job stress. Managers who encourage responsibility and allow employees adequate job control create a supportive environment. In most work situations, management has found a friendly and alert employee acts as a deterrent to potential criminal activity. Training managers and supervisors with conflict resolution skills help to maintain good working relationships. Programs in behavior recognition, response to violent behavior, stress reduction, personal protection measures, hiring and firing strategies, recognition of domestic violence, communication skills, and team building are powerful tools for building self-esteem and self-confidence. Employers and employees who understand how to reduce job stress and maintain compassion for their coworkers are actively participating in violence prevention. Established workplace policies help protect workers from harassment and threats. These policies are as important as policies which prevent discrimination or drug use on the job. Some effective prevention tools are a 24-hour hotline or online forums for employees to report threats of violence, unusual behavior, depression, alcohol or drug abuse, or other disturbing occurrences. A suggestion box. Any method of encouraging feedback from employees and allowing them to express their grievances, and establish fair and prompt procedures for dealing with grievances. Employees who feel they are working in a concerned environment where they are trained fairly are less prone to aggressive outbursts. Effective security measures provide employees with an environment where they can produce their best work without anxiety. Well-lit, uncluttered premises, both inside and out, deter criminal activity. Other measures that help to ensure workplace safety may include posted information and restrictions, surveillance cameras, strict visitor sign-in policies, employee identification badges, door controls, limited access key cards and cipher locks, careful screening and testing of new employees, regular safety awareness, and training of the workforce. Job counseling, training, and assistance provides support for employees during traumatic times like layoffs, financial or marital problems. Stress is recognized as the first cause of illness by the World Health Organization. Stress is caused by operational changes, lack of promotion opportunities, financial concerns, and personal relationships. A well-informed and sensitive supervisor can provide employees with information about services offered by employee assistance programs and other service agencies in the areas of emotional counseling, debt relief, stress reduction, and job retraining. Crisis management plans can be developed for dealing with violence in the workplace. A team can be formed including representatives from public safety, human resources, medical, legal, line management, and other experts. The team can consider how to report incidents of violence, the key authorities to be alerted, security precautions to be taken, and how to maintain safety for workers not in the immediate vicinity. Prompt trauma counseling for employees who have suffered from exposure to workplace violence has been found to help in the recovery process. A debriefing team can be brought in immediately to work with the survivors of workplace violence to aid in restoring their mental and emotional health. Survivors of catastrophic events find relief in being able to express the feelings and fears aroused in them. The process of speaking about the event assists in recovery. Recognition and response to the potentially violent person is another way to reduce the danger of violence. Employees who are trained to react calmly and cooperatively have a better chance of surviving a threatening situation. A calm and courteous manner, a positive and cooperative attitude, a step-by-step explanation of one's actions, and a warning of potential surprises can greatly increase the chances of survival. Any action capable of causing an escalation in violence has the potential to end in death. Even if they perceive a threat, employees should be discouraged from carrying firearms. A supervisor who is trained to recognize threatening behavior, depression, signs of domestic violence, possible alcohol or drug abuse, or even frequent absences as signs of distress can be helpful in reducing the potential for violence through timely intervention. Make a resource list of service agencies in your area that would be helpful in terms of emotional counseling, debt relief, stress reduction, and job retraining. Workers' assistance programs are a good place to begin. Let's look at what you as an employee or student can do if involved in a workplace violence incident. If you are in a situation where you are confronted with disruptive, threatening, or violent behavior, use a calm, non-confrontational approach to diffuse the situation. Indicate your desire to listen and understand the problem. Allow the individual to describe the problem. Do not take the behavior personally. Usually the behavior has little to do with you, but you are used as a target in the situation. Set limits to indicate the behavior needed to deal with the concern. Please lower your voice. Please stop shouting or using profanity, or I'll have to ask you to leave. Ask questions. Respectful concern and interest may demonstrate that aggression is not necessary. Consider offering an apology. Even if you've done nothing wrong, an apology may calm the individual and encourage cooperation. I'm sorry that happened. What can we do now to solve the problem? Summarize what you hear the individual saying. Make sure you are communicating clearly. In crisis, a person feels humiliated and wants respect and attention. Your summary of the individual's concern reflects your attention. Focus on areas of agreement to help resolve the concern. If you feel threatened or in danger, find a way to excuse yourself, leave the room or area, and get help. You've raised some tough questions. I'll consult with my supervisor to see what we can do. Do not mention discipline or the police if you fear an angry or violent response. Signal for assistance. The individual may be antagonized if you call for assistance, so use a prearranged distress signal with a coworker to check on you to determine how you are. If you need help, the coworker should alert your supervisor and/or the university police. Do not isolate yourself with an individual you believe may be dangerous. Maintain a safe distance. Do not turn your back and stay seated if possible. Leave the door open or open a closed door and sit near the door. Be sure a coworker is near to help if needed. Never try to remove him or her from the area. Even a gentle push or grabbing an arm may be interpreted as an assault by an agitated individual who may respond with violence towards you or file a lawsuit later. What are some preventive actions you can take in your department? Develop a secret code word within your department for calling the police. Discussing safety issues with coworkers. Reporting promptly and accurately all threats or acts of violence. Arranging furniture to prevent entrapment. Attending training on workplace violence prevention. Asking for a physical assessment of your work area by police. When a violent incident occurs, many are affected. The victim, witnesses, bystanders, as well as friends, relatives, and co-workers of those involved in or witnessing the event. To avoid long-term difficulties following a violent event, certain follow-up responses and interventions must take place. Include contact name and phone number. Disruptive, threatening, or violent behavior can occur in the workplace. We do not expect you to experience such an incident, but hope this document will help you feel that you know what to do if one should occur. Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, Public Law 91-596. This act is to assure safe and healthful working conditions for every working person and to preserve our human resources. In this act, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH, is charged with recommending occupational safety and health standards and describing exposures that are safe for various periods of employment, including, but not limited to, the exposures at which no worker will suffer diminished health, functional capacity, or life expectancy as a result of his or her work experience. Each week in the United States, an average of 20 workers are murdered and 18,000 are assaulted while at work. Death and injury due to someone's chosen occupation should not be an accepted cost of doing business in our society. No single intervention strategy is appropriate for all workplaces, and there are no definitive strategies available at this time.